Always scrolling, always watching something, always listening to something, always keeping your mind busy, even when you're tired, even when you need rest, even when you know it's too much. Why? Maybe it's not addiction. Maybe it's escape. Because being alone with yourself has become uncomfortable. Silence feels heavy. Stillness feels loud. And the moment everything gets quiet, something inside starts speaking. Thoughts, regrets, pain, truth. And maybe that's what you've been running from all along. Not life, yourself.
Most people think running away looks dramatic, leaving, disappearing, starting over. But often, running looks normal. It looks like staying busy, always having something on, always checking your phone, always filling every empty space, not because you need to, but because silence feels uncomfortable. And when silence feels uncomfortable, it usually means something inside is waiting, something unresolved, something unprocessed, something you've been avoiding. This is how self-avoidance begins, quietly, not through one big decision, but through small habits. Distraction becomes protection, noise becomes safety, movement becomes escape. And over time, you stop noticing it.
You just feel the need to stay occupied, to stay stimulated, to stay mentally somewhere else, anywhere else. Because being with yourself feels heavier than being distracted. That's the hidden truth. Many people are not addicted to distraction. They are addicted to avoiding themselves, avoiding what they feel, what they know, what they haven't faced. And that avoidance shapes everything. It changes how you rest, how you think, how you connect, how you heal. Because healing requires stillness, and stillness is where truth lives. But truth can be painful. Sometimes you avoid yourself because you're carrying pain you never dealt with. Old disappointment, old rejection, old shame. Things you buried because life kept moving. And maybe at the time, you had no choice. You had to survive. You had to keep going. But survival has a cost. What gets buried doesn't disappear. It waits. And when life gets quiet, it rises. That's why so many people feel uneasy when they're alone. Not because being alone is bad, but because it removes the distractions. And what remains is what has been waiting. Another reason people run from themselves is because they know something needs to change. A truth they've been avoiding, a relationship that no longer feels right, a life that no longer feels real, a dream they abandoned, a boundary they never set. And deep down, they know it. But truth creates responsibility, and responsibility creates fear. Because once you see clearly, you can't unsee it. So many people choose distraction over clarity, not because they're weak, but because clarity asks something from you. It asks honesty, it asks courage, it asks change, and change is uncomfortable. This is why people stay in loops, not because they love the loop, but because the unknown feels bigger than the pain they know. So they stay busy, busy enough not to think, busy enough not to feel, busy enough not to hear themselves. But eventually, the body keeps the score. Exhaustion grows, numbness grows, disconnection grows, because you cannot outrun yourself forever. At some point, you catch up, and when you do, it can feel overwhelming. But it can also be the beginning, because meeting yourself again is where healing starts. Not fixing yourself, meeting yourself. Honestly, without running, without numbing, without pretending. This is hard. Because most people have spent years avoiding, years disconnecting, years escaping. And now, slowing down feels unnatural. But unnatural does not mean wrong. It often means unfamiliar, and unfamiliar is where growth begins. Try noticing the moments you reach for distraction. Not to judge yourself, just to understand. What are you trying not to feel? What are you trying not to think about? What appears when everything gets quiet? These questions matter because your patterns are telling a story. And often, that story is asking for your attention. Coming back to yourself is uncomfortable at first because reconnection means feeling again. And feeling includes pain. But it also includes peace, joy, clarity, relief, aliveness. You don't get one without the other. That's the trade. And maybe that's what this is really about. Not escaping pain, becoming strong enough to hold it, to face it, to understand it, to move through it. Because the truth is, the version of you you've been searching for might be waiting on the other side of the things you keep avoiding. And maybe the reason life feels so heavy is not because you're lost, but because you're tired of running. And maybe it's time to stop.